All right, I am just heading out to the park where I can hopefully find a quiet place to record for a bit. Wanted to give a little driving demonstration as well. The update has been amazing so far. Update 3.5.1 is out, rolling out to everyone, it seems. A much quicker rollout than I've seen before. So they must have confidence in it and they really want to push this out, and I cannot blame them. It's overall much snappier, much more responsive. All of the screens here, moving in between them is finally reliable. Even up to last update, just doing these would not work all the time. The seats would be missing, it would just get stuck, it would show it in an old state. So very basic things are now very snappy, feels great, more intuitive because it's faster for the most part. You can see one glitch there. Cameras here, better in the last update. That was also improved, but they did, I think, just a little bit more refining on the camera system overall in this one as well. So CarPlay and Android Auto are the two biggest features, of course, but there are a few other quality of life changes that have been worth it. So all right, so let's get into it. I'll open the changelog up on my phone. For the latest app, you will need iOS 26. Make sure you're on the latest version of the app, which is 2.14. That brings a few changes to the app itself. Remote start, it's like a small key icon. That will give you 2 minutes to unlock the car and start driving without needing a key. It is not the full phone as a key system that's coming out later, but it is a stopgap measure, and if you're having problems with your key fob or your key card not working, you can use that. However, I wouldn't recommend fully relying on that 100% of the time, because if you do not have cellular signal on your phone or you do not have cellular signal on the car, it won't work. So it's not Bluetooth, it's not ultra wideband, it is cellular based. So don't fully rely on that. You should keep your key fob or your key handy at all times in case your cell phone is dead or the car can't connect for whatever reason. That is not a fail safe. So the other change in the app is live view now works. Can't view it while it's occupied, but it does work now. So it didn't really work that well at launch. It was very slow. It didn't want to connect on Wi-Fi, for example. So now it works. It's much faster, but I have noticed the quality diminish between 3.4 and 3.5. So another interesting development. They're just tweaking it and learning it. So here's the changelog. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. The voice engine is referring to the Bluetooth wireless phone calling. So they've revamped the system for phone calls to try and better isolate the voice to give you better clarity. The remote start, keyless driving via the mobile app is the little key icon I just went over. Charging updates is for DC fast charging is more reliable when you use plug and charge. You shouldn't have a failure where you plug in and it says unplug, plug again. I've had that actually quite a few times, so hopefully that works for me in the future. The HVAC system is also kind of revamped again. They've modified it several times in the last few updates to try and improve airflow, reduce noise. I've had whistling up here with the defroster, and so far I think I'm happy with it. I haven't had enough time with 3.5 yet to fully use it, but in 3.4 they did some modifications, and it definitely helped when it was kind of cooler outside and it was kind of damp on the inside and it would fog up very quickly. It's more efficient, quiet, and just more consistent overall. When this launched, you'd get in the car and it would just blast you with cold air no matter how cold or hot it was outside. Now it's much more temperate, it's more balanced, so they're definitely getting a hang of it. Navigation and maps. So turn-by-turn guidance is better across both the upper and bottom display. Trip completion and dismissal, and route deviation. So if you get off route, it will hopefully update to a better route. Oh, look at that. Refer now and earn double referral rewards when friends or family take delivery of a Lucid Air or Lucid Gravity before March 31st, 2026. So, hey, if you need a referral code, I have only had one referral code in 2 years of Lucid ownership. So I can definitely use some accessories right now. I need me a range exchange and some center console organizers. So if you want to help me out, a referral usage is great. The windshield wipers are also updated. Hasn't rained here in months, really. We've just had a few days. We're in a severe drought. So when it comes to rain, I will definitely be trying that out. The media is also improved. So for example, here, this little metadata is more consistent across whatever app you're using. Let's say you're not using CarPlay, you're using Tidal. That will update more quickly, more consistently. When the Air launched with CarPlay, I had version 2.0 at delivery, and I believe it updated to 2.1 in the week, which I believe was the version with CarPlay. And that was always a nightmare. It would be the wrong song or just blank or outdated. So even in this system, they still fixing old bugs, but it's there now. Sirius XM is more stable. I've heard a lot of complaints about that. Live view is fixed and improved. And a pretty important one is the exterior door handle behavior has been modified to prevent unintended repeated handle movements. I've only had a few door handle problems in my rear passenger door. It just is very slow sometimes. It works, but it's like a minute behind the others. But after a few updates and restarts, that's definitely improved. Improved door opening response from both inside and outside of the vehicle. Now, oh yeah, I can literally tell the difference within one try of opening that door. The very moment that you click the button, the window's down quicker and the door latch launches. Like it's improved. That's actually pretty nice. And finally, the ADAS system, the Advanced Driver Assist, has a better hands detection. Personally, I never had that particular issue. So just going back through, Android Auto, CarPlay, voice engine for phone calls, remote start with your key. Better smart preconditioning is one of the charging updates as well. So when you're using built-in nav and you're routing somewhere and it has a charging stop, that will perform preconditioning. Unfortunately, in this version, there is no EV charging integrated into Apple CarPlay or, as far as I know, Android Auto at the moment. So that's a big miss. However, they can absolutely add EV routing into CarPlay via software. So I'm hoping that's on their future plans at some point, along with wireless Dolby Atmos. They could be the first. So we'll see. But right now, at the moment, if you want route planning with integrated EV charging, automatic stops, automatic preconditioning, all of that stuff, you do still have to rely on HERE maps that are built in. And unfortunately, let's just say you go to Best Buy, you start it here, you come up here, you go to Best Buy, and you start it here thinking, oh, that's okay. I'll use Apple Maps for 90% of the stuff, and then I'll use this if I have to charge. Well, whenever this loads, which service around here is very hit or miss, so not the car's fault. Interesting. I haven't had a problem all day, but that again is probably not really the car's fault. So better charging, more reliable charging, and AC outlets remain active during DC fast charging. Now that's an interesting note, because when I did the Iona fast charging event in Bradenton, I did fast charge and use the AC outlets at the same time with no issues. So that was actually active beforehand. Now, what I'm unsure of, and I need to test, okay, so when I hit go up here, instantly disables this one. And then if I go back to Best Buy and hit go,
follow the road,
instantly disables Apple CarPlay. So unfortunately, you cannot stack your navigations other than just having one going and one following. That's the best you can do. So, you know, it's better than nothing, but it ain't great. So they really need to integrate EV charging into Apple CarPlay. And I will have to test again if the AC outlets remain on while you are AC charging, which is like level 2 home charging, because that did not work the first time I tried that. So as far as I know, that hasn't changed, likely because it's AC using AC, and I don't think they want that on at the same time for whatever reason. The HVAC improved better distribution for windshield fog in cold weather. Definitely has been noticed before by me. Even though I'm not in the coldest of climate, it's pretty humid, and in the evening as it cools down, that can definitely be a problem. And an interesting note is the improved reliability of the active grille shutters, which are in the front at the bottom. They're open and closed. You kind of have to duck down and look to see them, but they get stuck open occasionally, I've noticed, or stuck closed. And I just figured maybe that was what it was supposed to do. Maybe it's cooling a little extra. But when I had the Lucid Air, I had a pretty interesting problem for like the first year, where you would get out, you'd close the door, you'd get out, lock the car, walk away. The grills would open and close, open and close, open and close for like 10 minutes straight. And it kind of looked like a physical problem, but after like a year, there was a big update and that went away. So I'm pretty sure that was some sort of software condition. It wasn't understanding what mode it was in. So interesting to see that here as well. Again, better turn-by-turn synchronization. So let's just say you're not in CarPlay at all, which I'm still learning how to get in and out of easily. These are going to be more in sync. Sometimes this one would lag behind this one, or they wouldn't quite be in the same position. And now I believe you can have the same view on both, which you could not do before, which was, for me, a deal breaker. Having them in very different views was very confusing, trying to map them out mentally, so I would often just skip it and only use the top one because it did have a north up option. So overall, again, these are definitely improved as far as performance, loading, snappiness, just overall functionality. I just don't like here maps that much. So we'll see. I'm going to try it out soon and we'll see. And that's what is in the official notes. So make sure you are on 3.51 in the car. And then with your key fob, take your key fob, get really far away from the car, tap get started, next, blah, blah, blah. It's very simple. It'll connect to your fob and it will tell you if you need to update your key fob or not, or if it's already up to date. Make sure to check that, because even if your car's in service, sometimes they're very busy and they don't get a chance to do that. And that will definitely help your vehicle detect the key from outside more reliably, quicker opening the doors and everything like that. So pretty much the official change log. Now I did do a bunch of driving today, And I did a bunch of testing on CarPlay, things like that. So I can now say as well, CarPlay audio is significantly better than Bluetooth audio. It is not lossless, and it is not Dolby Atmos capable. So it's not maximum quality, perfect fidelity. However, it's CD quality, and I think for 98% of people, you're either not going to notice a difference, or it's not that it's a lower quality, it's just like a different sound profile kind of thing. I've been testing it back and forth for the last hour, playing the same song, switching between Tidal and CarPlay. And really, two biggest differences are overall volume, meaning CarPlay is typically louder than Tidal, and voice clarity and focus. So in CarPlay, without Dolby Atmos, the voice is very prominent here up in this large soundbar section. In Dolby Atmos, the voice is more spread out. It might not be so in the center. It has a little bit more rap, but I'm very surprised Atmos in the Gravity compared to the Lucid Air is not as noticeable. In the Lucid Air, Atmos was a huge jump in clarity and separation. In the Gravity, the speaker placements, the speaker styles, the bass, just the overall tuning, it makes it, to me, less dramatic of a difference. So just in my first hour of testing my favorite songs, random songs, unknown songs, I'm gonna stick with CarPlay. I'm only gonna keep Tidal for 1 month, and then I'm gonna go back to Apple Music. I don't hear a huge benefit for Tidal at the moment. So personally, I would love to see Apple Music built into the car, but I think it would be really interesting if they could figure out how to activate wireless Dolby Atmos. They would be the first maker that I know of to do so, and I really think they're pretty future oriented. They got to get their Apple connections going. They got to get some extra features in CarPlay, even Android Auto. So when you want to upgrade to CarPlay, you can do that a few ways. Personally, I recommend taking your phone and just plugging it in with a cable, especially if it's the first time. I've already connected to CarPlay, so it's not going to do anything. But when you come to devices, you'll see here you can edit, disconnect, and forget your device, which will remove it completely, plug in, or wait for it here in Bluetooth to repair it. And when you repair it, it's going to say, oh, CarPlay is available, add CarPlay. And I'll actually demonstrate that here in a moment. And I'll demonstrate Android Auto as well. I brought an old phone. So let's see, it's getting a little hot in here now. There we go, that's better. All right, so just as an example, let's just say you have a second passenger. They want to charge their phone, use CarPlay, whatever it is. You're just going to plug in. Oops, I forgot that's the wrong cord for this one. You're going to plug in, unlock your phone. Whoops, I'll have to blur that. And boom, launch CarPlay. Connect. Allow. Now here's one differentiation that you can choose. You can only use the cord over USB, or you can allow wireless. Personally, in the Gravity, I will use wireless. However, in my Chevy Bolt, I actually had to go to wired only. And that's because when my phone connects to the Chevy Bolt's Wi-Fi, it loses its data connection because I don't have an active OnStar plan. And The phone is supposed to be able to like kind of understand that and use its own data, but it doesn't work half the time. So when I use wireless Apple CarPlay in my Chevy Bolt, 2023 Chevy Bolt that still has CarPlay, I can lose my phone data. So in the Gravity, that's not an issue. There is no Wi-Fi hotspot in the Gravity. The Wi-Fi connection here is invisible, is basically how I describe it. You're not going to actively notice it on Wi-Fi. You're not going to see it come up here as Lucid. I'm not sure. I don't believe that's this car either. I believe that's elsewhere. It's using its own automatic wireless connection. So now when I remove it, it may actually disconnect. That is normal for the first time. And well, that's interesting. It actually lost it altogether, which connected back to my new phone. It appears here. Now it's not via Bluetooth, which is interesting. Very interesting. I'll have to play with that in a bit. See, it loses it. So interesting. I'll have to see why it forgets that. Now let's just try an Android device. This is an old device running Android 11. But I believe it has CarPlay. We're about to find Android Auto. We're about to find out if it does not. This does not have a SIM card or anything like that, so it's just kind of an offline device. Plugged in, hit connect up here, and accept after unlock. This is quite an old phone. This is not going to be your typical experience. This is a very low-end device. Again, it has no cellular service, so it's not going to load up Google Maps or anything like that. And this is actually my first time using Android Auto in my own car, so I am not as familiar with it. You can see it's quite laggy. I attribute that fully to the phone itself. So let's just go into settings. Messages, start automatically, start music, use the phone wallpaper. Well, that's interesting. There's no option like that similar in CarPlay. Driver seat location. Huh, interesting. Again, no option for that in CarPlay as far as I know. Change the layout. Media or navigation closer to driver. Now, I'm not sure why it doesn't actually switch. Maybe it does later in a different view. So again, I know it won't load maps, and I don't have an offline map loaded or anything like that. But pretty easy to actually load up. You're just going to plug in, hit connect, and you're good to go. So not too exciting. Let's see what happens. I unplugged. Let's go. These two icons here, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. I know that's going to be a question of, even when you do have CarPlay running or Android Auto, the other one's going to appear there. However, when you're in CarPlay, this one kind of looks like a navigation symbol, and it's very easy to be like, oh, I want to go back to nav, and that's not nav. So wireless CarPlay is functional. Wireless Android Auto is functional. Even on an older device, you don't have to have the latest device. Most iPhones run CarPlay as well. It's been out for quite some time, so just make sure you're on the latest version of iOS, whatever version you can run. Check for updates. There's been a lot of security ones out there. Keep up to date, people. I'm just going to go ahead and disconnect for now and forget, because that phone has nothing on it. And we're gonna go back into CarPlay on a new phone, and it's very responsive. I will say, even compared to the Bolt, it is very snappy, loads quickly when you get into the car, and you have some lovely views here. So you can have your navigation, your music, shortcuts to your favorite nav places, and even a widget screen, which they've modified several times in iOS. This will get updates outside of Lucid's control as well, but you can have calendar, weather, and if you're chronically online, you can have threads here. So I love having CarPlay. It's a huge benefit. It's a huge benefit for sound quality as well. So before, you could only use Bluetooth, and that was not that great of quality. And for demonstration purposes, I'm going to set up Bluetooth here and try out if the built-in music navigation works now, because there was no like Apple device support in the car. So if you brought an iPod and plugged it in, it was not able to recognize it. If you brought your iPhone and plugged it in, it was not able to play music over USB, which was very frustrating limitation. So I'm just going to connect by Bluetooth for now, which should let me get to my music. Bluetooth. And see, let's say keep using cellular data. That's kind of the issue where it wants to connect to the phone, to the car's Wi-Fi, and there's no data plan in this car, so that's not going to do you much good. Now let's go to, oh, here's another thing that drives me crazy. The contrast of the colors and what is activated and deactivated is non-logical. It looks like, especially on this screen in particular, like you can click on this to open the device to play music. Yeah, you can't. You have to go, I don't even know anymore. I don't know. So let's just open a playlist here manually. Now, when I come to playlist, you can see the playlist. And this finally, this does not work still. See, this has been an issue since delivery. Since this car has been out, using Bluetooth and trying to pick a song out of a playlist has never worked. So I actually was pretty confident that once they added CarPlay, that was going to add iPod support, and therefore you could just pop in an iPod, pop in a playlist, and get going. I do have a original iPod that doesn't have Wi-Fi or anything, no Bluetooth, and whenever I can find my darn cord, I'm going to try that out as well, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to work because this screen doesn't work. So that's a big limitation. If you don't want to use CarPlay, but you want to use your audio over Bluetooth, it's very restrictive. You either have to use voice controls or you have to look at your phone, which is not ideal. So big disappointment that that has not been fixed. Now, if I switch over to CarPlay, which I don't know if that's going to work, it does, and I come to music here on CarPlay, playlist, boop, boop, works great. However, you have absolutely no controls here. You can only use it up here, no such playlist. This is only the options button. And by the way, I keep it as flat and mostly immersive. and it sounds fantastic. I have no need to bump the equalizer for anything personally. So still some work to do for ultra minor things, still some features I'd love to have. However, the car is really in a place now, version 3.5.1, that this, had it been this at launch, it would have done so much better. And just in every sense of the word, they would have had less service calls, less service visits, less complaints, better publicity, a better actual driving experience. So it's a little bit late, but late is better than never. So I am quite thrilled. I feel like if they can make this much improvement in 6 months, another 6 months will be awesome. And hopefully when 6 months or so, they get closer to releasing UX 3.0 for the Lucid Air, they've worked out all of these basic bugs and the Air gets a really awesome improvement. A lot of people have gotten one comment already that, hey, the Air is not getting any attention, and I definitely feel like the gravity has sucked up all the oxygen in the room for them. But it was pretty necessary as an owner, as an owner of both the Air and the Gravity. It was pretty important for them to do some work on the Gravity. So now that they're at a base here, they can go anywhere. They can add features to anything. Like, we have a really strong foundation here now to keep working with. So I'm very impressed, and let's just see what my trip average is. So for today, going into town, this would be closer to 60 miles. I didn't reset it in time, but the average was unchanged. So I'm getting killer efficiency when the temperature is above 80 degrees. As soon as it hits 70 degrees, as soon as it hits 60 degrees, bloop, bloop. I don't get above 3.2 when it's 60 degrees out. So temperature hits this car hard. Using the heater hits this car really hard. But honestly, using the air conditioner on comfort, I use auto mode. I do typically 72. Make sure the rear's off. I do still have a few times where the rear climate turns itself on when there's nothing back there except maybe a pillow and a jacket, but it's very rare. It's maybe 1 out of 10 now. See, I don't know if it's on or not. This contrast is very strange. There's just not enough contrast between what is active and what is not active. Looks almost identical. I just don't. There needs to be visual clarity, very, very strong distinction. The gold accents are beautiful. It's a great design choice, aesthetic wise, but accessibility wise, the contrast needs a lot of work. You're not going to see yellow on yellow too much in CarPlay, that kind of thing. So I'm going to flip the rear off, and it's just smooth. Navigating is smooth. Pulling up charger, this could often kind of take a moment, you know. There's very little lag coming into the range spider screen, for example. This used to take a moment to load, and let's see where it is now. And see, now it's flipped upside down, and there we go. So, not sure why I don't see here. I prefer to keep this as a % and just use my dynamic range meter here. That's my personal. If you have it dynamic here, you can't have it % here, which is not as fun for me. So I typically keep % here anyway. But I don't know why I don't see the blue outline, which is, oh, maybe because I don't have a route. Let's just see. So let's do,
follow the road.
and you can see here you have your charging and your estimated arrival, which is wonderful. It does, I will say, having this bottom screen revamped in 3.5.1 alone makes the system go from unusable to usable, because it was just crazy before how it was, there was no north up, either it didn't work or there wasn't there. But now it's much more traditional, it's much more standardized. I don't love the routing always, but it works enough. So that's 3.5.1. Hope I didn't blab too much, but I will be doing a couple of smaller chunks coming up to try and separate out some of these things into littler pieces for people. But overall, driving experience today, putting about 60 miles on it non-stop, was very good. Very good reliability, no crashes, no inexplicable weirdness. Everything works as it should. Buttons now work fantastic since 3.4. That was a huge complaint. When I got this, it was really in rough shape, and all of that's been fixed. Do I feel a little scratch? No. Okay. And really, just taking a look around, I don't have much to complain about. Oh yeah, that is definitely improved. I am very impressed on both opening and closing are snappier, and the window is more responsive. It does seem like there are some window issues that are lingering still, and I have noticed this. For example, let's just try. We're going to come here and go to this icon is Windows. We're going to crack all the windows, and that does the back windows, and that was really snappy. I mean, I'm going to say that was really snappy compared to before. But sometimes when you go to close them, that's what happens. The window does the opposite action. So I'm very happy I caught that on camera, because it's very unpredictable. It's not every time. So that didn't work. Try again. Well, at least it told me. So let's say it was raining and I needed to close my windows. We can tap it again, close all windows, and it will retry. As long as there's no actual physical obstruction, I've found that it does work the second time. However, using the controls manually, sometimes you go to perform the window up action and it does the opposite action. Now, it's not going to do that today, of course. But as demonstrated earlier, it has this unexpected action where it either closes and then reopens, or simply goes down instead of up. And it's not for any rhyme or reason, and it's also not just one window. It's been this window, it's been that window. I don't think it's ever been that window, but it's kind of been all over the place. I'm going to attribute that to very tight tolerances here in the door, that there is not much room for misalignment, but I'm just talking out my butt, so don't quote me on that. But overall, the app is better. It's definitely more responsive after the last app update. That was a big one. So I'll have to add in some live view footage in a bit. Can't do it while you're in the car, unfortunately, as far as I know. Yeah, but not occupied. So, all right. Well, if you have any questions, you want to see anything else in detail, just let me know. As far as I can tell, this has also fixed some old bugs that were kind of hit or miss, come and go For example, you'd come here and both highest and lowest were grayed out. I haven't had that nearly as much in 3.4, and it's gone as far as I can tell in 3.5. So switching to low, for example, works as normal, which it should, but it's been a problem before. So all in all, it's a pretty good experience, and everything works as expected now. All the buttons work, new features, so pretty impressed. All right, thank you, Lucid, and thank you for watching, everybody, and hope to see y'all in the next one.